Where is he?
Where are you? Skull Rock. Do you know it?
Hello, everyone. This is Stacy reporting live over at the Skull Rock broadcast. I am joined by...
Hello, this is Megan. Welcome back to our Stranger Things podcast. We're happy to be here. Just enjoying our summer. How's it going, Stacy?
It is going, my friend. It is about a gazillion degrees out, but I am just vibing over here with Sir Quinn. How are you doing?
Doing good. I finished my first week teaching summer school, which took a lot out of me, more than usual. I think the heat didn't help, like you're saying. It kind of cooled down for like a couple days at the end of the week here, and now it's supposed to get super hot again. So that'll be great. But I'm enjoying just everything that we're doing for the podcast and talking to everybody and hanging out. And also, I've been reading a lot, doing some summer reading. So it's been a good week. Speaking of summer, we have something really exciting planned for the episode today. So do you want to tell everybody what we're going to be talking about?
So, as you guys know with Stranger Things, it is, there's a lot of references to a lot of movies, a lot of the soundtrack cues or posters in the background, or even lines or how people are dressed. And we noticed in season 3, which is the ultimate summer season, that there were a lot of tributes to different movies in that season. So we figured, since it's summertime, we are going to list our top 5 ultimate summer movies, like movies that just remind us of the summer. And we don't know what each one of us has picked. So this should be
a surprise.
This should be pretty funny.
I think it's going to be great. And so actually, kind of what inspired me for this episode was I had posted a reel on our Instagram about like season 3 of Stranger Things being like the most iconic representation of summer.
Yes.
And someone commented, "Oh, you're forgetting about The Sandlot." And I was like,
killing me, Smalls.
That would be a great episode idea because yes, there is lots of other movies that are like iconic summer movies. So is that one on your list?
It actually isn't, because I felt like that was too obvious. I wanted to go, I do have some real obvious answers, but The Sandlot definitely is one, especially with our generation that we grew up with. I'll never forget, I worked with an aide that was much younger than me, and I said, "You're killing me, Smalls." And he went, Stacy, I love the Goonies. And I just stared at him, glared. But that's always such a good one. And I feel like even though, they didn't really pay tribute to The Sandlot in season 3, just the gang of kids, definitely you can see that, as well as the public pool.
Yeah. Same. It's not on my list either. I just did want to make sure that we chatted about it. And I would definitely have to rewatch that movie because I haven't seen it in such a long time. One of the movies I'm going to talk about today, I think, kind of references The Sandlot a little bit too. So it'll be interesting. And we had also that same day on Instagram put a question box on our story to have people suggest some of the movies that they thought were iconic for summer. So at the end, if they're not on one of our lists, I'll just mention the rest of those movies that were suggested too.
Perfect.
Just to kind of throw a couple more out there, because everyone will have a nice little list of movies that they can watch this summer by the end of the episode for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely cool because, like we said, season 3, obviously they reference Back to the Future. They reference Jaws with Hopper being like, "I can do anything. I'm the chief of police." The Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio. The Day of the Dead, them going to go see it, and then the music cues. Even Red Dawn, which I love that Dustin says that. But we're trying to think of just movies that you tend to watch more in the summer and that just give you that overall summer vibe like season 3 gives.
Yeah. And also, some of these movies that I'm going to talk about are definitely not movies that Stranger Things referenced necessarily. They're just movies that I think are iconic movies. So you guys are going to get a little bit of my movie taste.
Sabrina,
which is very
everyone.
different. Very different than Stacy's, I'm sure.
You're right, Sabrina. Nothing will beat, guys, when we went to go see A Quiet Place. Megan sees the trailer for Alien and she kind of looks at me and she goes, "Could I handle that?" I went, "Absolutely not." So then later that night, and I'm totally sober, I'm trying to explain the first and second movie because let's be real, that's
the
the
whole
only
plot.
two. And literally Megan's just politely listening as I'm like, "So next thing you know, this alien that looks like a dick," and she's like, "Okay, Stacy, like sit down." So yeah, I'm gonna try to hold back, guys, on the alien dick talk, so don't worry.
We're going to get into our list, but before we get into our list, I just want to remind everyone that we do have a Patreon. So if you would like to support our show, go ahead and head over to patreon.com/skullrockbroadcast and you can sign up for one of the paid tiers and be entered into our Steve Harrington Lovers giveaway, where you could win an autographed item by Joe Keery in October. So definitely check that out if you have not already. We would greatly appreciate it. Who's going first?
Why don't you go first? Because I'm there curious to see what is number 5 on your list.
Okay, so the 5th movie, I guess because we're counting, down from 5 to 1 on my list is not necessarily a movie that I've watched a ton, and I did watch it once because I was curious, but it's more like the vibe and I wanted to bring it up. So have you heard of The Endless Summer?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow. You stumped me.
Yes. It is a 1966 surf documentary. And what's more iconic is the poster.
And not to cut you off, I have seen that poster in the movie Summer School, which might be mentioned. And I think, doesn't Max have that poster as well?
Max has that poster in her room during season 3. So when she's like laying in her bed with Elle reading comic books, you can see the poster. She has a little different version of the one than I had in my bedroom. But my dad also had that poster when he was like a teenager. And he told me that, because I wanted it. Up. Yeah. Have you seen the poster?
I've seen the poster. I've never seen the documentary. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's about like these California surfers that there's not like a really good wetsuit technology yet, I guess. So it's kind of cold to surf in California at some parts of the year. Mm-hmm. So they kind of travel the whole globe, like looking for warm weather to like surf in.
Wow.
And I was kind of obsessed with like just the whole concept of the endless summer for a while. Like I also like lived on an island in the middle of the Pacific, and there's really no seasons there. So I like joked that was like my endless summer. There's another movie on this list that might have inspired me to want to live on an island in the middle of the Pacific. So
look at you. That it's so funny because the thing about the surfers, like, traveling, going down the coast, trying to find the warm weather, it reminds me of the original Point Break with Patrick Swayze. Mind you, they were bank robbers, spoiler alert. But that's just like that whole, like, I don't know, lifestyle, I think is so fascinating. I would die if I tried to get up on a surfboard, but I know the people that have done it, they love it and they say it's addicting. So just that whole, and the fact that it was the 60s too, it was kind of like the time of innocence before everything went to shit in the 70s. So that's really, really cool.
I was very obsessed with like the 60s, early 70s as a kid. Mm-hmm. And also like the whole surf like culture. Like you said, I have never surfed, but it was like fascinating to me. Yeah. And there might be more surfing on this list and more Swayze on this list.
Oh, shit.
Little references there.
Number 5, The Burbs with Tom Hanks. And a lot of people always argue. They're like, what holiday weekend are they celebrating? Is it Memorial Day or is it Labor Day? Guess what, guys? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. All you know is that it takes place in a cul-de-sac, like a suburb, and you follow several of the people that live there. And it's directed by Joe Dante, who directed Gremlins, The Howling, Piranha, and this is kind of like a dark comedy that stars Tom Hanks. Carrie Fisher plays his wife.
I did not know that.
All-star cast. There's Bruce Dern is in it. Corey Feldman's in it. Like it's a packed cast. And
What year did it come out?
89.
Okay.
And it's basically Tom Hanks is having a staycation. And Carrie Fisher's wife is like, I don't think this is a great idea. You tend to fixate on stupid things and stuff. Like, maybe we should just go to the lake. And he's like, no, I want to stay here. Well, him and his neighborhood buddies, they are convinced that the new people that moved in next door to him in what looks like a haunted house, that these people are psychopaths because they never see them. And they start spying on them, and they notice like they'll only take their trash out at night, and they'll put it in the trunk of their car, drive it down the driveway, and then unload it. And they're like, who the hell does that? And then they start noticing it looks like they're digging graves in the backyard at night. So it's basically Carrie Fisher and like the other wives are like, you guys are obsessed. This is stupid. And all the husbands are like, no, they're psychopaths. I highly recommend it because it's literally my kind of humor. It's stupid humor. And it's just so funny. Like, there's literally a scene where the garbage men come and they try to like grab all the garbage bags out of the garbage truck to go through them. And the garbage men are like, well, we're not picking this up. So the rest of the movie, there's just a heap of garbage in the cul-de-sac that everybody keeps driving over. So it's so stupid, but it definitely, they reference celebrating a long weekend and a staycation. So it just kind of gives you summer vibes, but nothing is better than Tom Hanks convinced that his neighbors are psychopaths. So highly recommend it.
I feel like I have to watch it now because I want to see how it turns out. Like,
it's so good. It's so over the top. It's so good, but it's a cult classic. Highly recommended.
Are you ready for my next one?
I am ready. What is number 4?
The Babysitter's Club.
Guys, you can see the look on my face right now.
So the 1995 Babysitter's Club, not the new like weird Netflix show.
No, screw that.
So, I mean, like I said, you're going to get some insight into Megan in this episode.
Yep.
But
we sure are.
Rachel Lee Cook was in it.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Larissa Olnick, who I'm pretty sure she was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Those were the ones I like recognized. There's like a lot of people in it though.
Mm-hmm.
I would read the Babysitter's Club books a little bit, and I liked the like Little Sisters ones too, because it was like a little bit younger, and because I mean the Babysitter's Club books were like teenagers and I was like a child reading these books. But I feel like when the movie came out, it was just like very summer vibes. Like there's lots of drama, obviously. I like rewatched a scene on YouTube where there's a kiss, and like this kiss was like a good kiss, man. I was like,
oh, damn.
I was like an 8-year-old child watching this kiss. You can see where my boy craziness comes from.
Yeah.
But,
which, like, aren't they saving up for something? Am I making this
you're
up?
Thinking,
like a
you're thinking
treehouse
of
or some
something
shit?
else that I'm going to talk about later. We'll talk. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I feel like, hold on. I don't even know what the plot of the Babysitter's Club movie is. Like,
I have to send you, there's this comedian that I know, he rewatches movies from like our childhood, and he's at the Babysitter's Club, and it's like,
I need to rewatch it.
A girl fakes diabetes,
No,
and then there's an exchange
student. A girl really does
student.
have diabetes in the Babysitter's Club.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But it says a group of friends in junior high decide to start a summer camp for the kids that they babysit. This was, again, like literally my summers, because I did Girl Scouts. I went to summer camp. Then I like helped run summer camps when I was a little older. Like if you're talking about like an iconic summer, for me, that was my summer. Like, so
I just love what polar opposites we are. I was reading Fear Street, you were reading
yes,
Babysitter's Club.
exactly. I knew that this episode was going to be so entertaining because it was going to be like such different lists. Like,
You are the yin to my yang. That's all I'm saying.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to rewatch
Yeah, I
this.
really want to rewatch it too.
Is it streaming anywhere? Because, man, that would be funny to watch with you.
Let's see. It says you can watch it on Paramount Plus, Apple TV, Prime Video. I don't know if you have to buy it.
I know what I'm doing with my afternoon. People are going to be like, didn't you say you were going to clean your house, Stacey? I'm busy watching the Babysitter's Club.
Iconic summer for me, the Babysitter's Club.
Babysitter's Club. You know what? That was an aggressive choice, but I respect it, and it really shows. You really opened up the blinds into Megan's life.
I mean, just wait. There's some more on this list. I'm telling you.
Number four. This goes to show you what polar opposites we are. Sleepaway Camp.
Okay, I mean, it's like same vibe, but like completely different genre.
Same vibes. Yeah, exactly. But instead of the kids just making tomato sandwiches and getting along and kissing, there's a murderer. So anybody who is listening to this who is a horror movie fan, I feel already knows about this movie. Megan, I know you do not like slashers, but if you ever do check this out, go into it 100% blind.
Okay.
This movie features one of the most shocking twists I have ever seen on film.
That's awesome.
100%. I luckily rented it before the internet really took hold. So I didn't know anything about the movie. I didn't know anything about the twist. And it was actually quite shocking. It is about a terrible accident that takes place on a lake where a single father and his young twin son is killed by a speedboat, and the only survivor is the girl twin, Angela. So anyways, it takes place years later where the girl twin, Angela, she's living with her aunt, who's a little fucked up, and her cousin, Ricky, who's about her same age. They're like 13 or so, and she is sending her to sleepaway camp for the first time ever. Ricky's been a few times. So they arrive at the camp, and right away you can tell, like, this is kind of a messed up camp. It's in upstate New York. It's right off the lake. It's called Camp Arawak. And, like, there's a really shady, creepy cook. You know, some of the counselors are, like, kind of, like, messed up. There's a girl counselor who's hitting on the owner who's, like, 80 years old. I'm not judging, but girl, what the fuck? And basically all the kids are really fucking mean. Like, it is, like, I wouldn't survive a day at this camp. And Angela is quiet. She's really withdrawn, kind of shell-shocked since the accident. So she just kind of sits and stares. And right away, all the bullies of the camp decide to start targeting her and her cousins that were overprotective of her. And next thing you know, a bunch of accidents start happening around the camp. What could be happening? So a lot of shit goes down, and all I have to say is the last 10 minutes of that damn movie, you're thinking you're just seeing this cheesy Friday the 13th ripoff slasher, because it was made in 83 during the big slasher craze. I'd have to give it to this director. He wrote one hell of a script, and in the last 10 minutes, you will literally be floored by what you witness. So Sleepaway Camp, you know, it is just fantastic. There's a lot of debate whether or not it's aged right or not, but I know it is a huge cult classic, and it's a slasher I tend to watch at least once every summer.
Okay. Did you go to Sleepaway Camp as a kid?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't have survived a day. Are you kidding me? I was weird. I was playing with my water snakes, just being weird, wearing my Catwoman costume. What about you? Did you go to sleepaway camp?
Just for like Girl Scouts for like a week at a time, not like a whole summer type situation. But yeah.
You actually slept over?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was fun. I loved it.
What is your number 3?
Okay, so this is what I was alluding to with like my obsession with like Hawaii and the Pacific and more surfing. So are you ready? Blue Crush.
Shut up. Here I am thinking you're going to say Blue Hawaii. Blue Crush.
2002, baby.
2002.
I feel like it's just really fun. Like, I mean, it made me obsessed with like Hawaii, and I was already obsessed with like just surf culture and like that vibe as a kid. So
You must explain to me, because in high school we had a printing shop where, I don't know, the fucking teacher had a huge poster of Blue Crush, and I would always see it, and I recognized the actors from it. And I remember even when it came out in theaters. What is
yeah.
Blue Crush about?
So it's these girls who are surfers. So this is like my memory of it in Hawaii, and they have like a strong friendship. I think the one girl is like the girl from Fast and the Furious.
Yes, I remember that one. The one from Lost, yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez.
And I know the lead married Justin Long. That's all I know.
Kate Bosworth. She was in
Yes.
a lot back
Good
then
for,
too.
good for her.
It's like their friendships and everything, but then it's the Pro Bowl for football is in Hawaii, so all of these like football players come.
Oh,
So
it's
the one
here.
girl like is trying to teach the football player how to surf, and there's like it's like a romance plot, but like I feel like more than the plot, it's like about the vibes for me. Like,
All of the surfer vibes, man.
yeah, Blue Crush, iconic, surfer vibes, beautiful. That's all I've got to say about that.
Would you ever try surfing?
So I feel like I might be past that. I feel like my knees might be past that
Isn't that sad?
age.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
sad?
I tore my ACL when I was in high school playing
Oh
field
my
hockey.
God.
So I mean, I recovered. I'd have surgery and everything, but like, I feel like I'm going to have arthritis in my knee if I don't be careful. So
We're really feeling our mid-30s now.
I'll stick to my boogie boarding at the beach.
I always love those memes where it's like when the boogie board just like literally like goes up and smacks you in the face. I'm like, yeah, we were all there. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. I have a boogie board with the poster of the Endless Summer like printed on it.
Look at you.
Yeah,
I didn't
I don't-
realize you're such a beach
I don't know
girl.
where it is. Yeah,
You
yeah.
are Max. You are
Mhm.
Max.
Yeah, I feel like I totally relate to Max for sure at the California vibe.
I always loved you.
I'm
I
an
think
East Coast girl though. East Coast, not
girl.
West Coast.
I always do love in I think you only see it. Yeah, no, you see it in season 2 and season 3. They have a lamp in Max's house, which is filled with seashells, and I'm like, that's just something that's so California coded. I just love it.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at seashells as we speak.
My God, you looking at my Steve Ops, man.
Seashells and crystals.
This is off topic, but me and Jeanette went to the crystal shop, and
Yes.
we went fucking nuts. Like,
I need to buy some new ones.
this is beautiful.
So pretty.
I have no idea what the fuck it means, but it said Caribbean, and I was like, I need it. So yeah,
There
that's
you
gonna help
go.
us manifest more shit, dude.
Yep.
Number 3 is highly, highly recommended. It is from the director of Dazed and Confused. Everybody Wants Some. It was a movie that came out in 2016. It actually has, yet again, a stacked cast. It has Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son. It has Glenn Powell, who's the lead in Twisters, Megan.
I should have put that on my list. It's not really a summary movie though.
Yeah, I kind of remember this is summer when there's a tornado.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has a huge ensemble cast, and it's about this guy in 1980 who wins a scholarship to play baseball down in college in Texas. And
Okay.
it's the 3 days leading to the first day of school, because this director always does like stuff about time. Usually his movies take place in one day. And it's just, I don't know, it just perfectly captures like the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a bro movie. No, I'm a girl and I love this movie. I actually have a poster signed by the entire cast. I won it during an auction. It was amazing. But it's got a great soundtrack, and it's just got wonderful, wonderful humor. And this kid doesn't know anybody at all, but he immediately fits in with all these guys. And basically, it's them just partying at different places, getting to know each other. You can get to see them do practice. And it's just like a bonding movie. And even though it's towards the end of summer, it really perfectly like just encapsulates like that time period. And he ends up meeting actually Leah Thompson's daughter, Zoe Desch, I think her name is. So it's pretty cool because Leah Thompson is her mom and her dad directed Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful. That's how they met. And she's kind of like the love interest in it, but it's just so, so adorable because she's like a theater kid and he's a jock, and so kind of getting to know each other. But it is literally such a feel-good movie, and I watched it on a loop during the pandemic because I was like stuck inside. And meanwhile, I got to see people play baseball, and I'm not really a sports person, but I love sports movies. So definitely this is a highly, highly recommended summer movie. Everybody wants some.
Speaking of soundtracks, I love when movies have good soundtracks. The next two movies that I'm going to talk about, I feel like have really good soundtracks.
Bangers, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that you can guess my next movie based on the Patrick Swayze thing.
This is actually my friend Melissa's favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. So Dirty Dancing.
Oh,
One of my favorite movies of all time, absolutely.
speaking of Labor Day, yeah.
Speaking of the 60s, speaking of Labor Day, speaking
What a
of
soundtrack.
yes, a soundtrack, man. I mean, it's iconic. It's like summer. They're away at that camp thing, like country club type situation, and the dancing.
Oh, the dance. Have you seen the Netflix show, The Movies That Made Us?
No.
I highly recommend it. It's a ton of
Okay.
fun. They do like Home Alone and Jaws, RoboCop, but they do Dirty Dancing. And they
Yeah.
like interview either the person who wrote it. She's this older woman, and she's like, well, this is what we used to do in the 50s. We'd go into the basements and we'd dirty dance. So I quote that all the time. I'm like, we just started to dirty dance. So perfection, watch it.
It's so good. I mean, if you haven't seen, I feel like everybody could appreciate that movie, right? Like, just
I
iconic.
remember watching it with my father when I was little, and when it's after the botched abortion scene, I
Yeah.
remember going, all he had was a folding table and a dirty knife. And I'm like, were they making sandwiches? Just like,
Yep.
yeah, that's what they were doing, Stacey. Like, keep watching the movie.
There's so many movies that I like look back and I'm like, I was like 8, 7.
What was I
like,
doing watching that?
Like, that definitely went over my head until like way later in life.
Oh, yeah. What would you say makes Dirty Dancing such a favorite of yours?
Well, also like one of my favorite things is like I carried a watermelon. Like,
I'm not even kidding you. My friend Melissa loves it so much. She has a watermelon tattooed on her that says that. And I'm like, that amount of awkwardness, like that's going to be me talking to Joe Keery in October. I'm just going to be
Yes.
like, I carried a sundae glass. Like it's going to be something that awkward, you
yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, Patrick Swayze is really hot, so that would be one.
Yes.
And I feel like just the whole she is awkward and like she like, you know, gets that boost in confidence and like comes
Mhm.
out of her shell and just I mean the music for
Oh,
sure.
That
And just
soundtrack.
again the vibes, like just the summer vibes.
It's just, it was such an innocent time, the 60s. But I remember in college, Melissa had it. She bought this at a flea market. Somebody recorded the Dirty Dancing soundtrack on an actual cassette. And we would just go cruising. We'd drive around Pennsylvania listening to it.
Yeah.
And like the fact that like Patrick Swayze sings She's Like the Wind, like
Yeah.
Be Still My Heart. And then I'm sorry, the lift at the end,
Yeah.
you could be like the ultimate bro guy. You're going to cheer when baby makes the lift. Like,
Right. Exactly.
oh, you're making me want to watch that. It's
I know.
such a good movie.
So the movie I'm going to talk about last, I did rewatch it last night, but I think I might have to rewatch this one tonight. Like,
Oh.
so good. And I mean, it's an 80s movie, but it's set in the 60s. So I feel like it's like two great like eras. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
so yeah.
My number 2 pick is one of my all-time favorite movies. I mention it quite a lot. It is Summer School, starring
Okay.
Mark Harmon and Kirstie Alley. It was made in 1987. Basically, it's the story of Stacy. So Shoop, he is the gym teacher, and he says that he got into school for 3 reasons: June, July, and August. He is all about having those months off, and he's the more la-di-da teacher that kind of is laid back. And he just teaches gym, and he lives in his little beach house with his dog, Wonder Mutt. And he loves surfing, and he has the poster of the Endless Summer, but it's all about
Okay.
those summer vibes. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the person who was supposed to teach summer school wins the lottery.
Oh,
They
no.
do scratch tickets, and, like, looking back, I forget what the amount is, but it's really not that much. But he's like, "Fuck summer school, I'm out." So the principal or the dean of students has to find somebody. Like, he's scrambling to find somebody, and he finds Shoop, who is about to go to Hawaii with his younger girlfriend, and he gets sucked into it. And basically, they're like, "You're gonna be making tenure this year," which I'm like, that doesn't exist anymore. And he says, "You got to teach, or you're out." So he teaches like the biggest group of fuck ups, but it's just so funny. And it's such a like ensemble cast of like actors that you recognize from all these different movies. So there's Chainsaw and Dave. They are obsessed with horror movies, which is pretty fun. Then there's one that sleeps all the time, and spoiler alert, you come to find out he's a male stripper at nights, so that's
Oh,
why he's so sleepy. And
and
she
he's like a high school kid.
he's a high school kid. So she like goes to pick up women one night, and he goes to the strip club and he recognizes him, and it's like,
Oh,
what
no.
the fuck? Then there's the girl who's always ditching to go surfing. There's a pregnant teen. There's the football player that doesn't think he's smart enough. So it's just like, there's the geek, there's the girl that literally like towards the end, he's like, "Well, how can I get you guys to study?" So they bribe him. So basically, like, he has to give one driving lessons, and he allows them, like, looking back, this would not fly. He lets the kids have a 4th of July party at his beach house, which they set his couch on fire. Like, he goes to Lamaze class with the pregnant one. So it's really, really cute. Clearly would not fly with today's standards if you were a teacher.
Yeah.
But it's just like biggest group of misfits. And it's so funny because there's a scene where they all like go to the library, but a bunch of them ditch, and they get caught by the school like officer, and they come back and he's like, "Yeah, we found them at the donut shop." And they're like, "We all pitched in." And they give him a jelly donut. And Shoop is so unbothered. He's like, "Oh, jelly, I'm touched." So it's just really hilarious. And then he like finds a loophole with like taking them on field trips, but instead he takes them to like amusement parks and go-karting and stuff. So he's the worst teacher in the world, but he's got a big heart, and it's really, really cute. But it takes place in California, takes place during the summer. It's definitely a must to watch just to feel good. So highly recommend Summer School.
That sounds hilarious and wonderful. And I wish summer school was like that for us.
Could you imagine, like, literally, like, which I'll never forget, guys. If anybody knows the actor, Mark Harmon, I always know him as Shoot. But I remember my mother was like, so many women fell in love with Ted Bundy and would write him love letters in prison because Mark Harmon played him in a made-for-TV movie, and people associated Ted Bundy with Mark Harmon. So now I just can't shake that image. And I'm like, "Oh, shoot, no." So yeah, Mark Harmon, everyone, from, what is it, CSI or whatever? NCIS, one of those shows, yeah.
Are you ready for my number one?
I am ready. I'm buckle up.
Okay, so I'm not the only one, because when I put this in our question box story, 2 other people also suggested this movie.
Okay.
And it is one of my favorite movies of all time. And that is the movie Now and Then.
Bitch, I was going to use that as an honorable mention. Love Now and Then.
It's so
Love it.
good. Okay, so that's what I rewatched last night. And
How did it hold up?
it's good. It's good.
Good.
I was like, oh shit, this is one of the reasons I like Stranger Things so much. Because if you're trying to figure out why you like this whole 80s, it's not in the 80s. This movie is set So it came out in 1995. So it's supposed to be like when they're older, it's like 1995, but then when they're
Yeah.
kids, it's 1970. So it's before the
Gotcha.
80s, but they're riding their bikes. It's set in Indiana. Like,
Yes.
so
Yep.
this is the one where they're saving up for the treehouse.
See, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yep. So they also have at one point, like, they have this like system of getting each other's attention from like their bedrooms.
Wasn't it like the
So like
lights and
one
shit?
pulls a string, which is attached to like a bell in the other one's bedroom, and then the bell rings, and then that girl wakes up and flashes the flashlight, and then that girl wakes up and walkies the other girl, and it looks like the walkies in Stranger Things. I was like, oh my God, like I understand now.
That's Stranger Things coded. This is
Yeah.
why we got drawn to the show. It makes
And then
sense.
also some of the movies that I've watched because we've talked about them for Stranger Things, like Stand By Me. Like this movie was 100%.
So glad you watched that.
Now and then is kind of like a female Stand By Me because
Exactly.
they're trying to
Yep.
investigate this kid that died and how he got killed. And they end up, again, like Stranger Things, they go to the library, and the one library in their town like doesn't have anything. So they have to bike all the way to like another town to go to the library, and they go down and research with the
Getting
newspapers.
chills.
Yeah. So there's like so many things in Stranger Things that like kind of tie into this movie, but then also you can tell that this movie was inspired by Stand By Me. Also, there's a softball scene that was very much like
Yep.
what was The Sandlot, like because they're playing
Mhm.
baseball, and then she ends up like the Christina Ricci's character like gets in a fight with the guy.
Devin
Yeah.
Sawa.
No, well, Devin Sawa was the one
Well,
she kisses at the end.
Because isn't there like this kid that's heckling
It's-
her, and even Devin Sawa is like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit," and she beats the
Yes,
shit out of him.
exactly.
I remember that.
And then there's
Yeah.
like the little nerdy kid that like hits on Chrissy, and then it ends
And
up
they end up
married.
together. He's like, "Hello, dear."
And then he comes in at the end and says it to her again.
I always remember when one of them is like the one that ends up being Melanie Griffin shows that her fake
Our
boobs
pudding.
are pudding.
Vanilla pudding.
vanilla pudding, and I always die when the other one goes with flavor, and she goes vanilla, and she's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's something I would ask. Like,
Yes.
let's just say the little garden flower
Yeah.
talk, definitely,
Well,
Jesus,
and that
I
was
love it.
too. I was like, I did not know what sex was when I was 8. So I was definitely watching this
Yeah.
being like, what the fuck are they talking about? Why are they laughing at her? Like,
Yeah, why are they talking about planting the flower and the
and the big
hose?
hose. Like the humor. I've definitely rewatched it since when I first watched it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I've like I noticed those things, but I haven't seen it in a while. So all the humor definitely held up. Brendan Fraser is hot as shit.
Oh my God.
As like the hippie, like
his cameo,
Yes.
girl. I forgot about that, and then I think I rewatched it like 5 or 6 years ago. He is beautiful.
yes. I was like,
in that.
oh my God. I know
Oh.
people like Brendan Fraser, but he is hot. Like that.
This was before the Mummy.
Yeah.
It was just when it's right, it's
Yeah.
right. And I
And he
love
gives
that,
them all a
like,
cigarette.
because because man, you felt like a badass if you were smoking. And I love that Rumor Willis plays the lead girl's little sister, which codes because Demi Moore plays the older version of her. Like, great casting for the adults, but great casting for the little girls because we all recognize them from at least one or two
Yep.
movies from the
Yep.
90s. But yeah, that is the female version of Stand By Me now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So
What a great pick.
I was like, this movie, I loved that movie, but this movie, I feel like a lot of the things I love about Stranger Things are also in this movie. Oh, and they're doing a seance, and there's like
the
the whole like
seance.
spooky thing, and then they go to the psychic, and they're the tarot cards. I'm like, what? Like this movie made me. Oh, the soundtrack. So I would
Oh,
listen to
soundtrack.
this soundtrack on repeat. I was obsessed with like the music from that era. Like I said, Daydream Believer by the Monkees is one of my favorite
Oh yeah.
songs of all time. Like Knock Three Times, like the whole scene where they're riding their bikes and they're listening to the radio and they're
Singing.
singing.
Oh yeah.
It's like iconic. So good.
What a great pick. And it's so funny because the other day, somebody sent me a reel, a Dave Montgomery, his, I don't know, screen test. He actually was reading the scene from Stand By Me when they find the body, and he's playing Keith Sullivan's character, Ace.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And I'm like, that's so perfect that they would have him screen test something from Stand By Me. But yeah, I would have to say, if anybody ever said, like, what's a movie I'd like if I like Stand By Me? I'd
Now
say
and then.
Now
There's
and Then.
the other
Absolutely.
scene which reminded me of Stand By Me where Roberta, like, she dives off the rock and then she pretends to be like dead and they get really mad at her.
Mhm. Yep, they talk about Teddy dodging the train, and they're always like, remember the time he jumped off the tree and this and that.
Oh, and they go up into the grandfather's attic, which reminded me of the Goonies because they're like looking through everything in the attic. So you could definitely tell that this movie was like very inspired by a bunch of 80s movies, but making sort of like a female version of it. So
where's it streaming?
I rented it from just like my cable. So let me see.
I respect it, man.
I know. I had paid $3.99 for it, but
what money well spent, dude.
Yes. Now and then it looks like you can rent it on Prime Video. You can rent it on Apple TV. You can rent it on YouTube. So not free anywhere, but definitely worth the $4. All right, I'm ready for your number one.
Number one. I think this one's going to be quite obvious. It's my all-time favorite movie, and we see a poster of it in Will's bedroom. It is Jaws. Steven Spielberg's Jaws. You sounded just like it. Yeah, this was a movie that I just grew up watching. I watched way too young, and I was that weird kid that just loved sharks because of it. I am a huge fan of it. It is, in my eyes, and I love Jurassic Park, Spielberg's best movie. I don't think it's a horror movie. I think it's an adventure movie. It's a suspense movie. I was lucky enough to actually attend a Jaws party with Jeanette last Saturday, and watching that in 4K, I had never seen it in 4K before. I felt like I was on the fucking boat. I was, having a great time. But it's basically just the story of a New England coastal town during the summer in the 70s. And there is a giant 25-foot, 3-ton shark that is eating people. And it is absolutely terrifying. And it's basically up to the lone police chief of this small island called Emily Island, a marine biologist, and a crazed fisherman to hunt down the shark because they are refusing to close the beaches. So the first half of the movie takes place on the island, and you see the casualties that actually, unfortunately, are killed by the shark. And the second half of the movie is them out on the ocean trying to hunt the shark. And it is absolutely terrifying. But what I love about this movie is everybody knows the story of how the fucking mechanical shark would not work. And Spielberg had to get kind of creative with it. You know, he used the dock in the scene where the two fishermen, try to catch it to win the reward. And then with the whole second half, they used the yellow barrels because this shark barely fucking worked. It was the 70s. Yeah. It was long before CGI, but I still think it holds up. It is a movie I could talk about for hours. It is just such a feel-good movie. John Williams' iconic score. It is absolutely terrifying, and it was fearless because I had never really seen a movie before where a child dies on screen. Yeah. And that happens. And there is a shot, which if you ever look it up, they were actually going to originally have the shark jump out of the water and get the little boy. And they cut it because they were like, it looks too hokey. It's fucking terrifying. And at the party, we all looked it up and we're all like chills. But the opening scene is just iconic of Chrissy, which always makes me think of Chrissy from Stranger Things.
There was a Chrissy and now and then, too.
There was a Chrissy and now and then, it's just that iconic name. But she's this hippie girl who just decides to go skinny dipping. And in my eyes, she went way too far out. But just that scene of her being, and that actress just recently passed away, just being pulled down and screaming, and you don't see what's getting her, but you can only imagine. And her last words before she's dragged under is just wake up, just wake up. Goosebumps.
Chrissy, wake up.
No, Chrissy, wake up. Oh my God, I didn't even put that together. Damn, you're good. But yeah, Jaws is just this movie where I know Stranger Things, they kind of based Hopper slightly off Chief Brody. He makes that iconic, I can do anything. I'm the chief of police line in season 3. And of course, this truck. But I feel like, even them get it, like almost like baiting the Demogorgon in season 1, it was a little like them trying to get the shark. Like anytime the shark smells blood or hears noise, it comes, much like the Demogorgon. But Jaws is just, you got to watch it every July 4th. It is just a classic.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it because I've definitely seen it, but it's been a while. And I was a wimp about things like that when I was a kid. So
it's streaming on Peacock.
Just to wrap it up, most of the ones that were suggested to us on Instagram, we have mentioned. So 2 people had said Now and Then.
Nice.
2 people had said Jaws. Somebody said The Burbs. So there's 2 that, one I have not seen ever. So Silver Bullet.
Great Stephen King short story, Werewolf.
Okay. And there's a movie of it?
There is a movie starring Corey Haim.
Oh, very nice. So that was one that somebody suggested. Another one that I've seen parts of, but again, I was a wimp. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I love that you brought it up the weekend we were together. You're like, that's a movie I always wanted to see. It's scary.
Yeah. I feel like I was like at a friend's house and like their older brother had it on. And I was just like, I can't do that.
Avoid the sequels. But the first one is just, and also like, I just love that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar like met on that. Like,
oh yeah,
90s love.
They're still together, right?
They're still together. Yep.
Yeah,
love that.
The last one that somebody said is a new favorite of mine because I finally watched it maybe last summer or the summer before, but The Lost Boys.
Oh, I am so glad you watched The Lost Boys because then you started picking up on like when they gear up in season 4, it's kind of like that. I love that you watched that.
Yeah. And that's a great, like California vibes and like summer carnival boardwalk, like all of that. Like, so definitely a good summer, good summer pick and
so
some hotties for sure.
Oh my God.
It's so funny to watch movies from like the 80s and stuff and like be so attracted to these men and then like look up what they look like now, and some of them have aged well, some of them not so much.
That's why I tend to not try to do that. I'm just The Lost Boys. That's a great one. I'm glad that was brought up.
Yeah. So I think we have a great list here.
I love that. Great. Some bangers, guys. Some classics.
Yeah. So you guys have lots to watch now for the rest of summer. And I was thinking we should do like some movie nights for sure.
That would be fun. I mean,
yeah.
You know how ridiculous I am. So
let's shift gears. Let's talk about filming updates.
Sure.
Okay. So I don't think we have a ton of new filming updates this week, but there were some leaked set photos, and it looks like they were filming again at the radio station set. So, that's our favorite set because with our Skull Rock broadcast, broadcasting, that's our sister station.
Yes.
The Squawk. So hopefully we get some fun stuff in season 5 with the radio station because it definitely looks like that's going to be a huge kind of like set and plot point.
Yes.
Also, you will be listening to this on Friday, so we maybe will have some new season 5 news at this point because our hope is that tomorrow, the 15th, because we're recording on Sunday night, we will get some scoop about season 5, maybe a teaser. I don't think we're gonna get a trailer yet, maybe a release date.
Why do you think we'd get something tomorrow?
That's a good question. So tomorrow, July 15th, is the 8-year anniversary of Stranger Things season 1.
Isn't that insane, guys?
Absolutely insane. Yeah.
It feels just like yesterday. I'm telling my sister, I'm like, Lex, check out this show. It's like a Stephen King, Steven Spielberg show. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are today. It is insane that it has been 8 years. So
8 years.
You're thinking not a trailer, but you're thinking maybe a hint to something?
I'm thinking maybe a teaser, or like a teaser with the release date, maybe a confirmation that it's going to be in 2025, because we don't even know that yet. That would be cool. And we will be going live tomorrow night to celebrate the 8-year anniversary.
Yeah.
If anything comes out, we'll be able to discuss it and just hang out with you guys. If you're listening to this on Friday and you did not get a chance to tune in to our live on Monday, the recording will be available on our Patreon. So you can check us out there. But yeah, we're excited about that. Fingers crossed for some news tomorrow.
All right, guys, we would like to shout out another amazing artist who we have mentioned before, Logie Draws. Logie Draws does amazing steady and other art prints on Etsy. They do affordable commissions available starting from £10, as well as book cover commissions for writers. I have seen plenty of these. They are amazing, guys.
Yeah.
They can be found at Logie Draws on Instagram and Twitter. Their art is absolutely amazing and one that I cannot wait to add to my gallery wall. Check out Logie Draws right away.
Yeah, I wanted to shout them out because so I know we have all of this new content coming out because the Gladiator 2 trailer dropped.
Oh my God.
So Joseph Quinn is playing Emperor Gaeta. Is that what it is?
I keep saying Greta, but you guys know how I'm not great at pronouncing things. So
yeah, I think it's Gaeta or Gaeta. But Logie Draws did a portrait of Eddie as the Emperor. So it's like the same kind of face, obviously, and outfit, but he's got like the long, dark Eddie hair, which was beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I mean, can we talk about that trailer for a second? I'm surprised it took us this long to bring it up.
I gotta tell you, like, literally, I had to race to my car after summer school to watch it because this has been the one project of Joseph Quinn's that I've been most excited for. And there was a little bit of confusion of which emperor he was playing, but I actually, I totally approve of this. And it kind of makes sense, how he was casted, because this was back when they actually had the actor from Saltburn attached to play his brother. But he ended up dropping out of the project. Joseph Quinn, I think, is going to steal the show.
Yeah.
As soon as he did the iconic thumbs down, because that's a big thing that Joaquin Phoenix does in the first movie, just the clips of him, I was fanning myself. He is going to play such a crazed villain, and I think this is just the role that was made for him that I could not get enough of it. Like Swoon City, guys.
Yeah. It's hot, man. And I love how so many kind of media outlets are promoting this movie. There was a really cool I think it was Bustle did that reel with an edit from the trailer, and it was just all of these hot men. I mean, I already love Paul, and I'm just gonna be obsessed with him. I can tell even more after this movie. But they had to include Joseph Quinn in there too. When he's walking out,
oh my God,
it's just the sluttiest walk.
He's playing such a slut. That poster too. I need to get that poster immediately. Just his crazed look and his huge eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And just the red eyeliner and the red hair. It's just, when it's right, it's fucking right. And I already told my friend Brandy, I was like, well, it's only a matter of time before I get this tattooed on me. So here we go, guys. Woo!
It's awesome. Yeah.
Cannot
so
wait.
Happy for him. Super excited for that. Also super excited for this war movie. I know some of the cast released some of the cast posted some just photos of them hanging out, and like, these guys are all hot, man. This
Oh
movie.
my God. Michael Gandolfini, like, he could get it. Like, right
Yeah.
away, I'm like, hello. But
Yeah.
yeah, when it's right, it's right. And yesterday, I rewatched A Quiet Place in theaters again. And just seeing him on the big screen, I was just like, this is a third entry of like a horror suspense drama. And he's literally like crying real tears and acting his fucking ass off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, GQ, like, where's your award? Like, just
Yeah.
where is it? So,
Yeah.
very excited for his upcoming projects.
Let's talk about merch. I know you have a few things you wanted to bring up for merch.
So, the big thing that kind of dropped was a company called Clark's Shoes are doing actually a children's line, which all of us are like, God damn it, why is it only children's?
Well, I don't know how big your feet are, but I was like already like looking up conversion charts to see like what size I would wear in kids' shoes. And
Yeah.
I could buy some.
See, I have big bird feet. They're huge.
Yeah. I only wear like an 8.5. And apparently there's like a kid size that would fit. So
some of them are cute, man. I
some
gotta
of them
tell
are
you.
cute. There's some that I like that are not available at least yet on the site in the US. Because when I looked it up, there was only like 4 styles on there. And I
Yeah.
really like the Hawkins high ones that are like the boots.
Those were cute. Those were my
yeah.
favorite.
And
Yeah.
apparently there's bags too that are available in the UK, but not in the United States. And they're really cool. So
You're gonna
I
have to
did hear that there's going to be an adult line as well. So
I want my dams, and you know what? I hope they fucking light up too. Like, I want light up Stranger Things shoes. That'll complete the breakdown.
oh, and before I forget, I also saw there's some sort of like Stranger Things drink in the UK. So if you're from the UK and you have this like strawberry lychee drink,
Oh, what?
please tell us about it. It's sort of like a sparkling water, I've heard.
And
I
it's
saw it on like
Stranger Things?
Reddit, and it's Stranger Things brand.
Oh,
So
girl.
I don't think it's available here, and I don't even think
Of
I don't know if it's
course.
real or not. So if you've seen it, please let us know.
You slap Stranger Things on anything, Megan and Stacey, their antennas are up.
Yeah,
But
we're in.
I know that Little People, you know how they have that little line? They're gonna do a Scoops Ahoy one. I don't know if that's
Ooh.
available yet, but that's a must. I definitely need to get that. And then this was the huge one that made me go like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, you're excited.
I'm very excited. Bath and Body Works, I guess they have a little like deal going with Stranger Things. And they are doing, let me actually look up the scents. They are doing a line of candles that are going to be available on the 18th. I called up my store, and they actually, all the girls that work there refer to me as the Eddie girl because I showed up and right away they're like, holy shit, you got a lot of Stranger Things tattoos. So they love me down there. Shout out to the Methuen Bath and Body Works. But they are doing a Hopper's Coffee. They are doing an Eleven's Waffles. They are doing an Argyle's Pineapple Pizza. I wonder if that's going to smell like pineapple or marinara sauce. And they're doing a Steve's Scoops. So limited, I guess, like quantity, but
Yeah.
you better bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to be speeding to my local Bath and Body Works. Because first of all, I'm a candles nut as it is. And I know I'm not going to burn it, but just to have it,
Yeah.
oh my God. Like,
If
and
you like candles, you should get one that you can burn and one that you will save.
see, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
So I got my eye definitely on the Steve Scoops,
Yeah.
clearly. But the other flavors, they just sound like they're going to smell so damn good. And I know that Bath and Body Works, their large candles are usually a little pricey. But when are we ever going to see this again, guys?
Right.
So
I did
come on.
hear that there's going to be like a $10 off going on at the same time and possibly like a discount. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely
bitch.
look into that.
Okay. All right.
Because they have those like sales and discounts all the time. The reason I can't burn these candles is because my cat has asthma and it irritates his asthma. So
That's terrible.
I know. He has to like take an inhaler sometimes.
Yeah, don't like them, but have them around so you can,
Yeah.
you know,
I
smell
can
them,
just look at them and smell them and
get a
then,
good huff. Yeah. Now I know that you actually, which I'm waiting for mine. Good old Amazon. you got some pops in the mail. Is
I
that
did.
true?
I was a little bummed because they came and the boxes were damaged, and I'm like, oh, life of a collector now, huh? Like I need these
Mm-hmm.
pristine boxes.
Uh-huh.
So I did call, and they're supposed to be sending me replacements. I won't say where I got them, just so I'm not
Now,
like
do you have to
giving them
send
bad
back?
press.
Do you have to
No,
send
they
back
said I get to keep the other ones. So this might be a
Hi,
birthday
Megan.
present for Stacy.
Hi, Megan. I love you, Megan. Wink,
Because
wink.
the Robin pop the box was crushed, but the Max in the Cemetery box, it's just a little dent in the corner. But I was like, I mean, it's damaged. I'm not lying about this. It is
Well,
damaged.
those are the
So
ones that I have been wanting. So happy birthday to me. I love you.
yes,
So, like the pops themselves, do they look amazing?
they're amazing. I
Oh,
mean, I already said how much I love the Steve one. Robin is so cute. Just
mm,
love it so much. And the Max in the Cemetery one is really cool. I know
that's
I'm not like a
awesome.
big pop person, but it's huge. Like the
I
box
bet.
is really big. I was reconsidering bringing it to Atlanta just because I don't want it to like it. Maybe we can bring the damaged box with us to Atlanta because
No
it's already
problem.
damaged.
Yep. That can go through customs. That's fine. Yep.
Customs is only when you travel internationally.
You can tell I never fly, guys. So here I am. Yep.
I love it. I think that's it for merch,
Yeah, I think that's
right?
about
Do you have
it.
anything
Yeah.
else?
No, I think we are good right now for merch, but we will be keeping our eyes open because there seems like every day there's something new. Like I know Walmart, there's a new Eddie plushie that they're coming up with these little bobbleheads of the
Yeah.
characters. I haven't been to Walmart in a while, but definitely they have a license with Netflix, so there's always new merch popping up left and right.
Keep the Stranger Things hype going. We love
Hmm.
it. So I think that's pretty much it for our episode today. It's another long one with this
Oh yeah.
movie, with all our movie talk, but we really appreciate you listening. If you have not already followed us on whatever platform that you're listening to us on, go
Hmm.
ahead and do that. Maybe rate our show. And if you want to leave a review, or I think Spotify has comments now. So you can leave a comment on this episode. Let us know if you've seen any of the movies that we talked about today, or which ones you're excited to see, any ones that you think should have been on our list. Find us on social media at Skull Rock Broadcast, and we'll talk to you soon.
Over and out, guys.
Over and out. Oh, also, does my like peace thing make more sense now that you know I'm such a hippie?
I can't.
Eddie, I'm not sure I love the idea of you driving.
Oh, I'm starting to sucker. Harrington's got her. Don't you, big boy?
Without further ado, I like cut Stacy off. I'm like, we get to talk about Steady now.
You're like, this is what we're doing. We're doing it now.
So we are super excited. Like I said at the beginning, I've been reading a lot like this week, which I love when I'm
Oh.
in like a good reading space. So yeah, I'm super excited to talk about Steady. If I forgot that I didn't say this last week,
Mhm.
but I usually try to remind people that this is our secret segment. It's at the end. If you're not into fan fiction, you can just turn us off and we'll talk to you next week. But if you want to hear us talk about what we've been reading this week, please stick around
Yeah.
because it's fun.
When it's right, it's right.
So I'll let you go first. What have you been reading this week?
Just overwhelmed with shit. So I did read a story from Apple Pie Life, who is one of our favorite authors.
Yeah.
They did a story called Let the Boy Be Merry. And it was basically
Ooh.
about Steve kind of almost being like a Scrooge. Like Eddie really, no, actually, this is reverse.
Okay.
Eddie's being a Scrooge while
Got it.
Steve wants to decorate the house and hang up all these lights and go all out for Christmas. And this
You're
is like,
doing Christmas in July.
I'm
huh?
doing Christmas in July, girl. Like,
I'm catching on to that. You did a Christmas one last week,
right?
too.
Like, and it's just, Eddie's grumbling. He's like, the electricity bill's going to go up. This is stupid. And it takes place, I think, in the mid 90s. And he's like, we don't even
Okay.
have kids. Like, this is stupid. And then finally, at one point, he does start to think, he's like, yeah, you're right. We don't have kids. Like, it's just the two of us. And he starts kind of feeling bad because he's like, oh my God, I've been such an asshole over these years. So it's Eddie like tries to make up for it in the following holidays, like Valentine's Day. And it's just really sweet. It's a one shot. It's very, very cute. So I read that. I read it from Pizza Bones, another favorite of ours, Passenger Seat, which does take place around the holidays. Coincidence. But Steve, it's a few years later, Steve gets into a car wreck. Eddie happens to be around and he's like, you know what? You shouldn't be alone. I think he breaks his leg. He's like, I'm going to like hang out with you at your condo while you get better. And it's still not finished, but man, they write those two so goddamn well. And then this morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. and you sent me a story. And why don't we talk about that story a little bit, Megan?
Do you want to talk about the swimmer one or the other one?
Both of them. Let's talk about both
Okay.
of them.
Did you read both of them?
I did.
Okay. So are you ready? Are you done? Are you done?
I'm
Can
done.
I go now?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go, baby.
So first of all, I finished A Sign of the Morning, and I'm in like I was in a little bit of a post-fic depression about that one because it was so good. And I was just like, that's, I think, why I was like, I need to read more. Like, because this was so good. And then I also finished a podfic.
Which these podfics, they make folding laundry and unloading the dishwasher so much better. Like,
I have my commute again now that I'm teaching summer school. So that was why I was like, oh, I got to get some more podfics in. Heartbreak Hotline. Have you read this fic?
No.
It is, I listened to the podfic, but you can read it also. The podfic is by Three Black Hearts. The story is by Apple Dagger. This was so cute. It starts out as this prank where Eddie thinks Steve is like this suave, like ladies' man, perfect flirt. And Robin is like trying to convince him that he really isn't. Like he really doesn't know how to flirt.
Yeah.
You know how Robin like with Steve. So she convinces Eddie to prank call Steve at the video store and pretend to be a girl and try to flirt with him. And so he does that, but Steve is actually pretty good at flirting with Eddie.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
It's hilarious and just so sweet and perfect. And yeah, you gotta listen to it because
I'm down. I'm totally down, man.
I don't want to give away what happens, but it's so adorable. And that was another one where I was like, oh, I don't want this to be over. Like,
oh my God.
So that was really good. Then I started another podfic, which I'm about halfway through, and I'm also loving. It's another one that I put on the list for you. It's called Looks Like We're In for Nasty Weather. And it is a modern AU.
Okay.
Robin has a podcast about monsters that she does with Murray.
Yes, that is perfect. Oh my God.
Yeah. So then Steve is on like the search and rescue squad. He's like a volunteer. His day job is Scoops Ahoy. He still works at Scoops.
I love that.
Robin still works at Scoops also, but she is making some money off of her podcast, so she got to like cut back her hours.
Yeah.
Something attacks Steve in the woods, but it's like invisible. And then you start like getting to know like this backstory. There's like cool, I love it when it's like a modern AU or an AU and they incorporate like elements of canon because like you find out that Barb died and Will had been taken also. And there's all of this like cover up with like the Forest Service and like Hopper's in it. Like everybody's in it.
Yeah.
Argyle's there. Argyle like gives like a prophecy, like he's like a Cassandra or something like that.
Bye.
Yeah. And so there's like spooky elements, but Eddie has ESB or ESPN as Steve calls it.
Love that. Oh my God.
And I hate giving away too much. Like I feel like you kind of sometimes give too much away, but like
excuse me.
It's fine. I like don't know how much to give away because I'm like loving it. So like I want to tell you that like they contact Barb and I maybe I'll leave this
Do
in.
they
I don't
tell her
know.
to fucking relax and have a drink?
I cried because it was like she wanted to tell Nancy not to like keep feeling bad about it, like, and then Eddie helps her like cross over. And also, I haven't gotten too much of this yet, but like Chrissy dies in Eddie's RV.
Oh my
And so
God.
everybody thinks that he killed her for a little while, but like he didn't. But she's a ghost and just lives in his RV and hangs out with him.
Jesus.
It's amazing.
And this
And
is
so-
and this is the looks like we're in for nasty weather.
Yes,
Okay.
the fic is by Prufrox and it's narrated. Eddie's point of view is Rattle and Hum, which is like one of my favorite podfic narrators.
Ooh.
Another one of my favorite podfic narrators, Amanita Fierce. They're the one that
They're
did
good.
Elate. Like
Yeah.
they're really good too. So it's them, those two POVs, and then Rufus Bear, who is also great, narrates like the little excerpts from Robin's podcast.
Oh, wow, that's a
So-
great lineup.
It's very, very well made and very entertaining. It's going to be definitely a wreck again around like spooky season because it's so good, but I'm enjoying it right now too. So that's another one I wanted to talk about. And then I was having like a craving for some onion chiver. Now, I did just see that they finished posting the You're Divine from Little Bit's perspective. I have not started it
Me
yet,
neither,
but it's
yeah.
finished now. I'm wondering if I should read some of the other kind of like shorter stories from that universe that they've put out before I read it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like diving back into like the You're Divine like
Yeah.
universe because I've only read like the main fic.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
haven't read any of the like spin-offs from it. And I really want to read like the Little Bits perspective. So I was like, let me read some Onion Chiver.
Which we're hoping that they write something about Gladiator too. Fingers
I know.
crossed.
I think so. I don't know that they really do like, you know, ancient Rome AU or if they'd be interested in that, but they just write like fucked up characters
Yeah.
so beautifully
So good.
that I could see them doing such a great job with like that emperor character
Mhm.
because if you have not seen like the art and stuff like that, a lot of people are putting Joseph Quinn's character as the emperor from Gladiator 2 with Joe Keery's character from that Finally Dawn Italian movie where he plays like a gladiator type character.
Oh my God.
Like, and the two of them, it's art. It's
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
And it deserves to be like in an art museum.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think that they do such a good job with like those like problematic but like deep and beautiful dynamics that they would do a really good job writing that.
100%.
So just putting that out there in the universe. I don't know if they have any plans for that, but Onion Chiver has some like shorter like one shots and stuff like that. And I've read a few of them. So I decided to read, it's called Favorite in parentheses Wannabe. And I did send it to you, but I'm not sure if you read this one yet.
Was that the one you sent me this morning? Because I did read it.
I sent it yesterday and then I sent it again I like replied last night and I was like, make sure you read this one.
Is it the one where Eddie's like getting like almost physical therapy?
Yes,
And,
yes.
girl, I read it and it was so goddamn good.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about it. So Eddie's getting physical therapy after an accident. His physical therapist first is Chrissy, but he's mean as shit.
He's
And
mean to her.
like then he ends up with Steve. So Steve is his physical therapist and I'm all for this Dom Steve right
Girl,
now.
Like
I
holy
want
shit.
more of it
And usually
because
it's the other way around.
yes, there's
Woo.
definitely more of the Dom Eddie, but like I'm so here for this Dom Steve because
Yes.
the way Eddie was so bitchy, like that, I can completely believe too,
Mhm.
that Eddie's like so bratty. And I love, like, even while they're still at the physical therapy office, Steve is like, I love it when like you need to get like bratted down or
Oh,
something
I
like
I or when he's like,
I just about died.
you can play
Like,
whatever music you want, and he puts on the Barbie by Aqua, and, like,
yeah,
Steve
it's
is
a
so
baby girl
unfazed.
playlist.
Baby girl playlist, oh my god, and Steve's just so unfazed by it. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh
yeah.
my god."
So then he ends up meeting Steve somewhere else.
Mhm. Yeah, that's probably the hottest story. Like, as soon as I saw Onion Driver, I was like, "Oh, shit, and this is a one shot?" It was 5 in the morning. I literally propped myself up, and I read it, and I was like,
Yeah. No, do you know when I started that? So Friday night, I was editing a podfic.
mhm.
So I don't know if it'll be out yet by the time you listen to this, but if you're hearing this, there is going to be a podfic that I made coming out soon. I did tell Stacey about it, but it's in this like fest where they're going to reveal the fics from the fest as like anonymous fics.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they'll like reveal who made them. So super excited for that. But I finished editing that podfic at midnight. I went down and laid on the couch. I opened that story at midnight. I was up until 3 in the morning
This is
reading
why
this
you're
story.
amazing. Yep.
Like maybe like 2:30. I'm not like a super fast reader, so it's really not that long, but I just read it in the middle of the night because I was like, this is so good.
And that's the thing about Onion Driver. That was me with Your Divine. Like, I found
Yeah.
myself staying up until 1, 2 in the morning because it just sucks you in, you know?
Yes. Their writing is so beautiful. Oh my God. And the way they just write the dynamics with like the vulnerability, like I said, and like, ugh, but they all also like always are like really fucked up and like
Mhm.
they don't communicate well, but then it's like it pays off.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Big time.
so that was so good. And I was kind of looking for like a little bit more like with that dynamic, but I was like, it's not going to be as good. Like I need to like read something else and then like go back and find something with that too, because they just write that dynamic so well that I'm going to be like, oh, it's not as good if I try to read more of it right now. But I did find another funny as shit story. The swimmer one.
The swimmer, what, girl?
I have not finished it. I have not finished the last chapter where I'm hoping it's going to pay off. But this was the same author. It's the author of The Most Remarkable Thing, which I
Yes.
love.
Yeah.
It's also more recently did the one that I've talked about where they're going to send us to prison for jerks.
Oh my God. I love that one.
Which that reminded me a little bit of this because
Mhm.
it's like a modern AU. It's Steve is an Olympic swimmer. Eddie is an SNL comedian.
So perfect.
So Eddie starts going on Twitter, like tweeting about Steve and how hot he is. And then he doesn't think Steve sees any of it.
Mhm.
He's like on TikTok talking about how Steve is his husband and like this like parasocial relationship, right? And he doesn't realize that Steve is seeing this. Like Robin is showing it to him. And I love that Heather's there too. She's a swimmer also. But then again, I'm doing the thing where I like give too much, but Eddie ends up in Paris at the Olympics as well. So you'll see why, but it's about to go down, man.
Oh my God.
It's about to go down.
Such a fun story too. Just so much fun reading
It's so
that.
funny. Like the text conversations, the tweets. Like I love a good like story with that kind of element and like the like SNL skits, like
My
it's
God.
hilarious.
Just perfect. Perfectly written.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying that too. I just downloaded a bunch more fics that I want to read, some that I've been wanting to read for a while, but like Soda Burn. Have you read that one?
No.
Apparently, I think there's like some Dom Steve in it. That's why I downloaded it, but I'd heard really good things about it. It's 3 mins over.
Ooh.
And then Genus Loci, which is Ace and Cleo wrote that one together.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen art for that one, but I have not read it yet. So I downloaded
love when there's
that.
art incorporated with it. Yep.
I downloaded Carve Your Name Into My Chest, which is like a hockey one because I'm
Oh.
like, oh, I'm really enjoying these like swimmer Steve ones.
Mhm.
Give me some more like athlete
I
AUs.
love that.
I just want to read all day. Oh, but it was so fun
It
talking
was.
to you.
Great
I'm
episode, tons
sure that I will have lots more fics to talk about
for
next week
our
because
summer reading, yeah. Well, this was fun, and, yeah,
super fun.
we'll definitely, meet up next week. Over and out.
Over and out.